This year, Thomas Hutton celebrates 80 years, and while that history is built on projects and partnerships, it's really shaped by people. In this series, we're taking a closer look at what it means to work here, from career growth and development to the teams and resources that support our employees every day. Because building the next 80 years starts with investing in our people. So one of the things that sets Thomas Hutton apart is the investment in continuous learning. And today we're talking about T&H University and how it supports employees at every stage of their careers. So I am here today with Mike Hughes. He is a principal and project manager at Thomas Hutton. But now you're wearing a new hat. So tell me about this.
Sure. So thanks for having me, by the way. For the past, I would say 6 months, my role's changed from being a project manager. And I've been a project manager at Thomas Hutton probably now for 20-some years. And in that time, probably since 2014, I've been working part-time in our continuing education program with T&H University. And the decision was made that we really need to make sure we're having someone entirely focused on that topic: quality control, continuing education, and company standards. So slowly, I've worked out of that project management role and relied on a lot of the folks that worked with me to take over clients and manage what I was doing to focus entirely on the career development and growth of our people.
So I know that you're passionate about this. And so, how did T&H University even come about?
Well, so it predates me, first of all. I'll say since the inception of Thomas Hutton back in 1946, there's always been some level of continuing education. But what really happened somewhere around the early 2000s was there's a recognition that we need to create a brand, a recognizable identity. When you name something, it kind of gives it a little bit of gravitas. It shows its value. So really that's when the brand of Thomas Hutton came to be. But it was more just to focus all the things the company was doing to continue the growth of its people, to continue to develop careers, and put it under one umbrella and make it organized. So that's really kind of the inception of it, but it really is more of an organization of what was happening previously and really throughout the company's structure.
So what do you see T&H University, what are the gaps or the opportunities it provides or helps address for our staff?
Well, I think it just makes things easier to learn. So if you're looking at it, even from the standpoint of any professional has to have continuing education. First and foremost, and for engineers, I think it's approximately 15 credit hours a year you have to have. What this is really doing as part of T&H University is allowing you to have that resource to organize the ideas of training, whether it's a technical topic or whether it's a leadership topic or just like personal growth, to have a resource where you can go to and get those things more easily than going out to outside resources. So it's an efficient way to get information and education. It's a way to organize it, and it's just a way to help really every individual within the company continue to have the ideals that you must continue to grow in your career as you move along.
I know in some of our surveys that we've given, and I'll talk to you and ask you more about all the different programs that fall under T&H University, but in interviews that I've had with project managers or designers, engineers that are coming in from other companies, from previous employers who are now starting their career at Thomas Hutton, one of the things that I always ask, what surprises you most about Thomas Hutton is the fact that we offer these programs so that they can get the credits and things like that. So talk to me about that.
Well, it's funny you say it because to me, most of my career has been spent at Thomas Hutton, so I think I take it for granted too. But I can tell you I was a licensed professional before coming here, and you had to go out and pursue classes. You had to go to online classes, or you had to go to a conference to get your PDH credits that were required to keep your license current. And then you as an individual had to keep track of and log all that information, keep the certificates, photocopy them or scan them. And that part of it, that's more to make life easier so you can focus on your job, you can focus on engineering, you can focus on your own career development and not focus on the paperwork and some of the organizational components. So part of it is just we have a structure in-house that allows us to be more efficient and allow us to focus on what we want to. But the other part is we have the ability to certify classes ourselves. So each state has different requirements, and we meet those requirements to ensure in-house we have a wealth of knowledge, and we can actually be the instructors, not just those that are learning in the classroom. So it's just a huge benefit. And I also am a huge believer that the best way to learn is to teach. And so it's not just about the education of those that's receiving it, it's also about teaching leadership, teaching how to publicly communicate, and how to share ideas. So just within our own umbrella, we have that full diverse spectrum of not just the learning, but also the giving back. And that's really one of our pillars too.
So tell me exactly what all falls under T&H University.
Like a program-wise, so you mean like what are the different programs we have? Well,
yeah, like if somebody were to even just say, like, what is T&H University? Like, what does it all include and entail?
Sure. So I'll say there's a lot of different ways to deliver the classes, but really from the standpoint of we have technical training, which is more like the engineering business or the surveying business and some of the things. Emerging technologies is another one. We have leadership training. We have even health and wellness training. So it could just be, talking about some of the ways to have wellness planning, or it could be 401k planning. So just within the umbrella of that, it's really trying to continue the growth and development of your entire career, not just some technical aspect, but also it could be something personal. That could be personal growth. So now, in terms of the different structures, we have a whole slew of programs that we could go through if you want to go through some of the ideas. All right, we'll start with our Workflow Wednesday. So Workflow Wednesday is kind of the foundation. So every other week, about twice a month actually, we go through a technical topic or AutoCAD training. AutoCAD is one of the main platforms we use for much of the design we do in civil engineering and surveying. And so we have someone in-house that goes through and goes through that topic. Or it could be something on, say, like how to use Bluebeam. Bluebeam is a PDF editing software that we constantly use. So a lot of it's geared towards getting in the weeds and getting into how we do things the standard Thomas Hutton way, but also how can we help people use the tools that are available to them more easily. So that's kind of the foundation is the Workflow Wednesday. And again, it's about 26 times a year, so it's pretty frequent. Lunch and Learns, we always have people come in, and we have staff that's full-time working with the T&H University program that helps get vendors organized, lunches or coordinated, but we can learn about emerging technologies and we can learn about different, products that are out there. We have our third Thursday, which is kind of the big one to me, and that's once a month. The entire company gets together, and we focus on a topic that's pertinent to the company. It could be just one of our departments. It could be one time we had a series of storms come through in a pretty short period of time that really affected the Southeast. And we have in-house experts in water resources that were able to kind of go through the technical background of what actually happened when the storms hit. And to me, that was so fascinating to kind of take something that was happening around us and utilize our in-house resources to go through and share with the entire company kind of the inside scoop on what happened when those storms hit our communities. So that's I would say third Thursday is one of my favorites just because it really does bring the entire company together. But we also have leadership programs. So we have our project management training series, which is when someone's trying to decide whether they want to go kind of a technical route or whether they want to go the leadership route for project management. When they choose that leadership route, there are a lot of things that we as technical folks don't really learn in school, right? I mean, it could be difficult conversations, it could be budgeting, it could be finance, HR, like the things that you don't necessarily learn but are important and critical to being a good project manager. We have a whole program for that. We got a technical leaders program that takes a deep dive, which we just introduced, into how do we continue to carry the engineering field forward? How do we look for emerging technologies? And how do we empower those people that are just wanting to get in the weeds on what we do?
So you mentioned this new technical leaders program. So how did that come about? Like, this is new.
It is new. So the way it came about was we knew right off the bat that as you become a project manager, it is an entirely new discipline, right? That doesn't necessarily come natural to a lot of technical people. And that was an easy one to kind of frame up as just an entirely new set of skills. But what we started to realize was the whole other side of the business, right? There's the business of, billing, schedules, project management, but there's also the part that we have got to continue to be technically excellent in what we do. And so there are people that's what they want their passion and focus to be. So it's more empowering them and really allowing them to carry the company forward. So when we realized we've got these two distinctly different resources and different passions, we decided we needed to make sure we're also tapping into that and making sure we're allowing them to grow and excel. So that's really what the focus is. It's making sure we're allowing our folks to grow in the things that they're passionate about and making sure the company is getting better and growing along the way.
So this is an internal program, but in terms of like the professionals that come in and teach certain courses, so you are using outside consultants too to help?
So we are. So it's a combination. So we have a tremendous amount of technical resources within Thomas Hutton. So when we talk about these leadership programs, our subject matter experts, we find someone in the company when it's a technical topic or even a project management topic. We find the best within the company and make sure when you're growing into that role, you're not learning just from your supervisor who probably has their strengths, but they also have their weaknesses. So we are identifying individuals within the company that are the best at that, but we're also bringing outside resources. When it comes to training how to be an effective public speaker, we bring in someone that is their specialty, or technical writing. We bring someone that is a writer by trade and use them and help them guide us in those disciplines that we aren't necessarily the subject matter experts. So absolutely. We bring people from the outside, but we also leverage the people we have internally that really are some of the best in the industry of what they do.
So how do you make learning accessible for employees across all the different offices? Or say, for instance, an employee would love to sit in on a Workflow Wednesday or a Third Thursday, but they've got a conflict. So how do you make it accessible?
Sure. So almost all of our programs are recorded. So we love for people to be there in person or remotely at their desktop or collectively in a conference room. So across all offices, our ideal is for people to gather while a live presentation is happening. And really, we think there's a lot of advantage to the dialogue that happens while someone's presenting. You can talk about the little nuances of what's happening or explain things or have side conversations. But we do record all our topics. And so if you've missed something, you can always go to T&H University, which is on our internal intranet, our internal portal, and you can watch those videos. And you can catch up on some of the things you missed. So it's a huge advantage to always be able to go back. But the other thing is when we record it, it becomes a long-term resource. So we just introduced an AI platform within Thomas Hutton only to our folks that allow us to search our topics. So I'm super excited about that because one of the things is we've been recording all of our programs have been recorded dating back to about 2011. So we have this wealth of data that a lot of times it's not having the topic, it's finding the topic. Mm-hmm. And so even within that, it allows us to go back and pull old resources and find topics. And as we look forward, I'm super excited that we're going to start doing dictation so that we have keyword searches. So if anything's mentioned in a presentation we give or a topic we present on, you can actually do a search, find it, and then use that to understand the topic a little better and maybe get the answers you're looking for.
So Third Thursdays, I think one of the most valuable ones, I know you mentioned the different array of the sort of topics that are provided, but I love the idea of the lessons learned, what you dub as "it looked good on paper." So, because I find it fascinating. I feel like the folks that are willing to share, it's eating a little bit of humble pie, but it's also, this is a lesson learned so that it doesn't happen again. So tell me about that and what kind of feedback you get from the folks in the office.
So it is probably one of the most talked about presentations, and we give it about once a year. And what's a little different is we'll probably have about 11 presenters, 10 or 11 presenters over a period of an hour. And again, the concept is look good on paper. And the idea is, what we do is prepare drawings. And what you see on paper looks pretty good. But then when you get a picture of what it looked like in the field, you start to realize that it doesn't always translate from paper into the field. And to me, I can still remember early on in my career, some of the things that someone had the vulnerability to show where they may have made a mistake, right? And I learned from that personally, and I can still remember kind of cringing, going, ugh. And it stuck with me, and we're kind of hoping that there's that visceral feeling of, geez, I'm not the only one that makes mistakes. I'm learning from what someone else has done, so I certainly won't make that mistake again. But it's just, to me, it is certainly one of the most talked about. And the other thing I'll say is that a lot of people get intimidated about presenting. Mm-hmm. But what we all can share is that we've all made mistakes, and it's from high level all the way down to a CAD technician or someone that's working on the drafting. So this almost brings kind of an ability for everybody to everybody can on some level recognize a way they could have done something better, and they'd love to share it. Because if we don't own our mistakes, that's what defines us. Yeah. So it is always well received, and it's always one of those that it's great that we get so many people that are willing to participate. And I think it also kind of demonstrates that this is a safe place to share. Yeah. I don't know what else to say, but that's absolutely one of my favorites. There's the year in review, which kind of goes back and looks historically.
Oh, yeah.
On the year we've had, right, on so many different levels, that's also one of my favorites. But I would say of the technical classes we give, the look good on paper is certainly one of my favorites.
And not to mention, it gives opportunities for our folks who would like to have the opportunity to, say, present at conferences. Yes. Or, like you mentioned, these public speaking opportunities. This is an opportunity to sort of do a trial run in a safe space. So I think that's great. And you mentioned year in review. Yeah. It's one of I think once again, it's you have your serious topics, you have your educational topics, but year in review falls on the last Thursday of the year, or the third Thursday of the year, December. And that is our way to really, it's kind of to me, I feel like it's a pep rally, So our third Thursday is run by Mike and I, and it's just so much fun. And I just remember the first time we ever talked about doing this, and I don't even know how long we've been doing this.
It's at least 15 years, but probably more like 20.
Yeah. And I just remember sitting in your office, we were sitting there brainstorming, let's make this fun. How can we make this fun? And turning it into this celebration of everything that's happened throughout the year. We're highlighting our people. We're highlighting our top clients. We're highlighting our top projects. But also, we're not taking ourselves way too seriously. And that's what I love. And the fact that each office has to come up with their signature cocktail only because I remember sitting in your office and seeing your blown up certificate of, what was this?
So I am a certified mixologist from the Philadelphia School of Bartending.
That's right. That's right. And I remember we blew it up, put it on the wall, and had you and somebody else slinging drinks right before our year in review presentation. And it's just so much fun.
Well, and I think, to me, these things, when you do them, they evolve. And I think that's what creates culture, and I think that's what creates a sense of connection. And the fact that it hasn't been stagnant. We have changed the program over time, but we as engineers, we do such a terrible job of reflecting. It's always on to the next problem, right? And we don't do a good job of celebrating our accomplishments. We don't, and it's almost like if you don't take those moments to recognize what's happened and the things that have changed, you start to lose sight of the fact that there is growth. Yeah. There is change, 1 year to the next. The COVID year, I remember, we couldn't be together, right? So we had to do videos. So everyone did videos, which was amazing. So each office got together and did a silly video. But the other thing was, our signature cocktail, we had to go to people's spaces, right? We weren't even able to go and collectively gather and have a cocktail together. So we had people dressed up as stewardesses with a little.
You were one of them.
I was. And we had little stewardess hats and gloves and the whole thing, but we had to go out to everyone's office and do it that way. But you get creative, but these are the things that create culture and memories and
Yeah.
just, again, taking the moment every year just to reflect, it's as much of education as anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I always have fun doing it, even though the lead up to it is so much work because it's compiling all that information to celebrate what we did for the whole year is a lot of work, but it is so rewarding because it, like you said, it is definitely, it allows everybody to just take a step back, relax, enjoy the moment, and celebrate each other. And I think
It's a jam-packed hour too.
Oh, yeah.
And then it rolls right into, kind of a social afterwards.
Yep, and I love it. So before we end this, what are you most excited about? I know you've put on a new hat. You're stepping out of your project manager duties, more focused toward putting all your energy into our training system and our QA standards and company standards and all that. But what are you most excited about? What are you looking forward to now that you're able to kind of like put that aside and focus all of your energies on this? What are you excited about?
Well, it always has been kind of a side project, right? Is that, there's this scramble to make sure you're getting things done. You're meeting deadlines for Third Thursdays or Workflow Wednesdays. And now it's given me the opportunity to focus as much as on education as standards. But as I look forward, my goal is going to empower more people to teach. I feel like there's this sense of there's the instructor versus those that are learning. But really, I'm hoping to empower more people within the company. And one of the programs we're going to try to roll out is almost like, crowdsourced education. So we have something in our system called briefs. So we have Up and Ready, which is like the immediate training of how to get on board with AutoCAD and some of the other software packages we have. But the other thing we have are called briefs. And it's like a 5 or 10 minute video that just kind of goes through an idea. And so there's this barrier of everyone associates these presentations to be an hour long. Yeah. And so what we're going to try to do is we've actually done a brief on how to do a brief. Yeah. And so we're going to try to empower people to think about little bits of what you as an individual at Thomas Hutton have to offer that, it could be a quick lessons learned.
Oh, like a tip and trick.
Yes, it's like a tip and trick, exactly. And so like if you can imagine if we empower all employees to just contribute a 5 or 10 minute clip on an idea, once you compound that, I mean, the amount of information sharing and the amount of knowledge transfer is going to be amazing. So to me, of all the things we have going on and all the things I'm looking forward to, I would say the crowdsourced education and continuing briefs is going to be like the next thing for us. That's going to be amazing.
I love that. When is that launching?
So we're going to slowly creep into it. So the first betas are going to happen over the next couple months, right? So I'm picking a few people. We actually have a training session coming up with some of our technical leaders, and there's going to be a call to action to get a few to be the entry level or the immediate kind of first ones to go through that program and to release some. And then it's going to be kind of a rollout after that. So we're going to empower all people, but it's going to be targeted over time. But yeah, it's going to be starting within this quarter. So.
Awesome. Well, I am looking forward to that. Well, thank you, Mike, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Cecilia.
So growth doesn't happen by accident, it happens by design. And it's clear that T&H is intentional about creating those opportunities. So thank you, Mike. Thank you for putting all your energy into T&H University and all the different training programs that we have to help our people grow. And we appreciate it. So thank you very much.